I want Priestess to step on me. Hello there. Arknights laziest YouTuber here, back again after finally graduating from university. Now I'm proud to officially be unemployed, occasionally rotting in my bed and enjoying my current obsession, that is exploring the Chernobyl exclusion zone as I make my way through Stalker.
Защитим монолит! За монолит! Веду бой с противником!
But enough about me for now. You know that you are here to hear me talk about Arknights, specifically about the viability of low rarity operators, which at this point has been repeated to hell and back to the point it's making me feel in my gut. I don't think I need to explain further about what all this means because I've said enough in my previous video. But in case any of you don't want to bother checking it out, the gist of it is that low rarity operators are designed in such a way that fulfills the needs to counter enemy and map designs. Low rarity operators can fulfill the same tasks as higher rarity ones because they are an extrapolation of the roles set by the lower rarity units. The trade-off for the low rarity units is that they are usually a lot weaker stats-wise and their kit being a lot more simplified. But what if a low rarity unit was designed with a kit that is so universal, so evergreen in its viability that future iterations of its class struggle to even match the number of use case scenarios that this little mongrel of a unit even provides? Well, look no further than Myrtle, our little sunshine, our tablecloth stealing gremlin, and the perfect bait for any blue archive players willing to give Arknights a try. Before we look at what makes her kit so damn good, we need to first look at what her role is in the game. Myrtle is a Vanguard, which means that her role is to generate deployment points, or DP for short. DP is the single universal constant that every unit in the game abides by. DP, especially in the early days of the games, also works in measuring the power of operators. Lower DP units are usually much weaker than the ones with higher DP costs, though this is also factored by operator rarities and their classes. DP generates naturally at the rate of 1 DP per second, but for most of the time, this is still too slow for anyone to work with, as stages usually opens up with a lot of small, fast-moving enemies that rushes you before you have the DP needed to put down your operators. This is where Vanguards come into play. They serve as a starting line of defense and support by boosting DP accumulation so that you can set up your team faster. Now, you can finally gaze at the beauty of our queen, her guiding moonlight, and look at the three factors that made her the most future-proof operator in the game, namely subclass, rarity, and her synergy with operator Bagpipe. First, let's take a look at what her subclass specializes in. Her subclass, the Flagbearers, specializes in rapid DP generation, but can neither attack nor block enemies while their skill is active. The Flagbearer subclass will forfeit all defensive and offensive capability and focuses entirely on providing support such as invisibility reveal, stun and debuff, and also even healing allies, such is the case with Myrtle and Wanking. The most important thing about Flagbearers are their DP generation, as it is the most fundamental form of support any operator can provide. In stages without Flagbearers, DP accumulation and setting up your operators are a much slower process, as other Vanguard subclasses does not have the same DP generation capability, or in the very least, a few caveats that make them so. Simply put, Flagbearers are the most true to form type of Vanguards, as they are the ones that fulfills their roles the best compared to the other subclasses. Flagbearers enable your team to be deployed faster and, for example, making early stage rushes easier to deal with. But what makes Myrtle stood out against other operators in her very own subclass is the fact that she is a low rarity unit. In truth, Myrtle is not the best in generating DP, as kindly clarified by Super here, it is Elysium who is mathematically the most efficient in DP printing. But if that is the case, then why is Elysium not the topic of this video? The answer is very simple. It's because Elysium is a 5-star operator while Myrtle is a 4-star, meaning that in the early game, you are more likely to get Myrtle rather than Elysium. Additionally, the material requirement for Myrtle is much lower than Elysium, befitting a 4-star rarity. The higher chance of obtaining Myrtle and her low material needs has made Myrtle a much cheaper entry point for most players into using Flagbearers, resulting in Myrtle being a more accessible operator than Elysium, especially to new players. This accessibility is ultimately the deal breaker between them. Even if Elysium is much more efficient, his higher material need and lower chance of acquiring him has turned people away from him in favor of Myrtle, as she is much cheaper and basically does the same thing. This sentiment also rings true for other Flagbearers. Anecdotally speaking, I have not found any interest in using other Flagbearers because Myrtle provides me with all that I need from this subclass. But hey, if you enjoy using Elysium and Psylocke from the Heist Bando and Waifu angle, feel free to keep doing so. And if you are one of the few who uses wanking instead, keep it up man, keep enjoying wanking. Other than that, a discussion about Myrtle and her place in the Arknights meta is not complete without mentioning her synergy with Bagpipe. On her own, Bagpipe is a very solid operator, low DP cost, good damage, and very beautiful artworks. She has imbued me with love and patriotism towards Scotland that I have never felt before, but that is a conversation for another day. The key towards her synergy with Myrtle, as you dear viewers might have already known, is her talent too. The initial SP increase from her talent to provides Myrtle with enough SP to activate her skill near instantaneously, and actual instantaneously with her part 5, making Bagpipe one of the few operators in Arknights with a worthwhile dupes to hunt for. While Bagpipe's talent 2 also works well with other types of Vanguards, for example, enabling Ines S2 to activate instantly, she is more normally paired with Flagbearers for their ease of use, lower SP requirement, and rapid DP generation, giving birth to the beloved Flagpipe meta. I personally have been running this comp for as long as I have Bagpipe in my account, and I don't think I will ever stop using it. With Flagpipe in your account, the pacing of which you deploy your team becomes a non-issue. The substantial DP accumulation lets you ignore intended stage pressure that is early enemy rushes and jump straight into your ideal team setup. The effectiveness of Flagpipe is even further highlighted by other strong units with low DP costs such as Mountain, Muinar, and Chongyue, as they can be rapidly deployed almost simultaneously, establishing your hold early on in the stage. Suffice to say, Flagpipe, namely the combination of Bagpipe and Myrtle, has become a mainstay in Arknights strategy building as they can provide an irreplaceable logistical support to your team. Myrtle most importantly provides support not in the form of damage or heals but by streamlining DP generation so that players have a few more seconds to strategize. And in a game all about strategy, those few seconds very much matters. But with Myrtle basically being the pinnacle of what Vanguards is supposed to be, future Vanguard operators must be able to provide more than what she has already provided. This is what I mean by Myrtle changing the entire Vanguard archetype. The fact of how strong her utility is and how early she was introduced into the game at only around the 3rd month during the Heart of Surging Flame event results in the Vanguard class going in very interesting directions over the years. We have Tactician Vanguards with their summoning gimmicks providing more of a defensive role, while Pioneers going in the route of offensive capabilities. Agents on the other hand are pseudo-fast redeploys, and the newly introduced strategies, while it's not released in the global as of yet, prove to be very innovative with their skills and talents that supports undeployed operators. In my opinion, the unique kits of agents and strategies, namely Ines and Stevalarash Alta, is a result of Hyperglyph acknowledging that Myrtle is the best that they can offer in terms of pure DP generation without totally breaking the game fundamental mechanics. Instead of pure power creep, Hyperglyph is exploring the possibilities that this archetype can offer, whether it is crowd control, a DPS unit, or any other gimmicks that's never been done before, ensuring that Myrtle will stay relevant for the foreseeable future. Before I end the video, I want to say happy birthday to Myrtle even though my dumbass is more than a fucking week late to the occasion. Lastly, I just want to say my utmost thank you for supporting my videos even if you guys are just opening it in the background. Look forward for more videos in the future as I disappear into the ether once again and come back whoever knows when. And with that, thank you for watching. Leave a comment, like or even subscribe if you haven't already. This has been Skybird, signing off.